With the Sri Lankan parliament now considering its options following the president's failure to resign after he fled the country. A short while ago, I spoke to the journalist and author Fidel Fernando, who joined us from the Sri Lankan capital, Colombo, and I asked him about the political impasse now threatening the country.
It's a huge threat to the country's future. You've got to state those very real facts, particularly at this moment where, at the moment we have a president in exile. At the moment, he is expected to be flying between the Maldives and Singapore. He hasn't resigned yet. And the calls for his resignation have been widespread and they've been resounding over the last 3 months. He held on for that long, since the end of March. He's refused to resign, and he'd also brought in another, you have to say, an unpopular politician in Ranil Wickremesinghe to be prime minister in that interim. And Ranil Wickremesinghe is now acting as the acting president after Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country following the huge protests that we saw on July 9th all across the country, but particularly in Colombo. Now there is kind of so much uncertainty about where this could go. There is so much political instability here on top of an absolutely harrowing economic crisis. So there are no easy answers as long as Ranil Wickremesinghe stays in his seat and he doesn't resign. And we still haven't had a resignation from Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The public and these politicians are at a standoff. And yesterday we saw further major protests. Over the weekend, we'd seen protesters take over the presidential secretariat, the president's official residence. Yesterday, we saw them take over the prime minister's residence. And they've since kind of backed off from some of those locations to allow some semblance of normalcy to return. But they still haven't got their main demands, which is the resignation of these two politicians. There is also the IMF negotiation that is ongoing, which is kind of being held in limbo because of what is going on politically in the country right now.
Okay. Briefly, if you can, tell us more about the protesters' demands, because they've made it clear that they wanted the president to resign, that ultimatum which now has passed. What are they saying right now? What's the feeling? Give us a sense of the mood.
The mood is, very tense, and it's a country that's kind of in limbo. The protesters have not changed their demands. Their demands are very much that Gotabaya Rajapaksa must step down from the presidency and Ranil Wickremesinghe must step down from the prime ministership. And then, perhaps an interim government. I think most protesters still believe Parliament is the place to solve this. But even Parliament is powerless as long as the president and the prime minister hold on. There is only certain things that parliamentarians can do, and the political parties, the opposition parties have got together and issued and put some pressure on both Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe, but that pressure has not yielded results that the protesters and the people around the country have wanted to see.